Hey guys, I want to talk about working through brain fog. So this is actually kind of similar to working through all the physical symptoms and increasing your physical activity, but I haven't been focusing on that to date. And now as my physical activity has expanded quite a bit, I've gone from being bedbound to basically being almost 100% normal in terms of how much physical activity I do. I still experience symptoms, but that's no big deal, as we know. Um, Now I've turned my attention a bit more to working through brain fog and getting, a bit more consistency in how much mental work I can do. I'm a software engineer, so my job involves working, thinking really hard, basically. And it can be, a challenge even when you're 100%. So I find that sometimes I'm able to do more work and sometimes I'm not able to do as much work, and to date I've kind of just put that off. The days that I'm just not able to do work, all right, I'm just not gonna do it. I focused on expanding my physical abilities, just walking more, exercising more, going for longer distances, and also deconditioning those fears associated with that. Now that I can do quite a bit, I'm doing more brain fog deconditioning, if you will. As many of you know, everything I do in my recovery is based primarily on the work of Dr. Sarno. And that involves realizing that you are actually not broken. There's just a little glitch in the system, that has to do with emotional stuff, uh, conditioning, fear conditioning that's just happened over time, the brain using symptoms to mask threatening emotions or to distract your attention. Watch my other videos for that. But this foundational understanding applies when you work through brain fog as well. So in the past, when I would experience brain fog, I would sit there, I would start getting very frustrated, very scared. I'd be like, what's going on? What is this? Why can't I do just like kind of normal work that everybody else is able to do this? Why can't I do this? Is something wrong with me? I must be broken. That's how it felt like. And it was extremely frustrating. I would be like screaming, say like and then I would be scared. It's like, oh my God, I'm not able to work. Uh, what are my coworkers gonna think? How am I gonna earn a living? I would just get all this concern with this symptom and frustration and fear and anger. And now, because I know what's going on, because I've read Dr. Sarno's work, because I've read other work, and the knowledge has sunk in that there's nothing wrong, that I know exactly what's going on, that I'm not broken, that this is 100% reversible, and this is just temporary. And now that I know all this, I don't freak out. Okay, yeah, I am having brain fog right now. It is difficult to get through this mental task right now. But just like in the past, I would find it difficult to walk, but I would just gently push forward without the frustration, without that inner turmoil, without that strong reaction like, oh my God, I can't even walk, I can't even stand. Actually, at some point, that was my reality. I couldn't even stand. I couldn't even take a shower standing, I had to take a shower sitting. I just say, okay, this is just completely reversible. This is temporary. I'm having this experience right now, but it's no big deal. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna gently proceed with my work to the best of my ability in that moment. So let's say I'm programming, I'm a software engineer, or you can apply it to whatever kind of work that you find challenging to do with brain fog. Maybe you're an accountant, maybe you're an attorney and you're reading a legal document, or whatever it is that you do. Maybe you're a writer and you're writing, or maybe you're just doing your taxes. You get it, right? Just any mental activity that brain fog interferes with. Maybe you're planning a trip. Okay, you just sit there. This is what I'm doing. I just sit there and I gently proceed, you know. And in the past, if I did that, I would feel like, okay, I'm not getting any work done. This brain fog is interfering with my work. I'm being basically not very productive at all, because of this brain fog. No, 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 none of that. Just do as much as you can right now and know that it's temporary, and know that by gently pushing through it with the full knowledge that you're okay, you're not broken, this is going to dissipate as you continue to do this more and more. You just proceed forward gently. You do as much as you can, This balance of how far to push and when to stop, I'll make a separate video about it. It's on my list. But just try to find it, If you're never pushing forward, that's a problem, You got to be gently pushing forward without the frustration, without that concern, If you're always just pushing, 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 and if it's coming from a place, I must, that's also not good, So you work on finding that balance and just don't worry too much about it for now. So this is what I do. I'm experiencing brain fog, and I just gently continue to do my programming work. I think about the problem, I try different algorithms, I try different approaches, I try different solutions, I read the documentation, and yeah, not all of it is sinking in, It's like I'm reading the words, but I'm not understanding that. Okay, I'm not understanding what I'm reading, or I'm missing a lot. That's okay, no big deal. You just do it anyway. Do it as best as you can at this moment. And actually, there's a lot more happening in terms of how much you're understanding than you realize, because I often have this experience that I sort of gently push through it for, say, an hour. I read a bunch of stuff, or I try an algorithm or whatever, and an hour or two later or the next day, I feel like, yes, I've gained something from this. I've actually made progress. It's just that when you're in that brain foggy state, it's just hard to see that. But actually, you are making progress. Maybe not as much as you would have without the brain fog, but it's still, something is happening. But more importantly, you are undoing that brain conditioning. When you engage with your brain fog without fear, without frustration, without concern, and you know you're not broken, you know that this is temporary, and you actually move through it gently, but you move forward, that's undoing that brain conditioning. And as I do this more and more, just like I did it with physical activity, I know that I'm going to be able to go for longer. I'm going to go that, it's going to recede, the brain fog will. Sometimes it'll hit me hard again, and I'll just say, okay, it's just the brain is funny, sometimes something will come up, whatever. It's not a big deal. There will be harder days, there will be easier days, but the tendency will be, just like with physical activity, it'll be on the up and up, bit by bit. It'll take as long as it takes. I'm not putting any pressure on myself with deadlines, and I'm just going to continue to work on this the same way I did with physical activity. And this is what I suggest you do. Try it, see how it works for you. And remember, you can't hurt yourself, and remember, there's nothing to fear or be frustrated about. You know what's going on, and of course, if you don't know what's going on yet, you got to watch my other videos, and you got to maybe read a couple of Dr. Sarno's books and stuff like that. And yeah, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I'll be okay, and you'll be okay. Sometimes after I do this work, as I'm doing it, brain fog just clears up all of a sudden, and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm able to do a lot more. And it's like I think more clearly, and it's like good. Sometimes it worsens, and it's like, oh. And eventually I say, okay, I've done my bit for today. Let me set it aside. Let me do something else. I did the work of deconditioning for today, and I did well. There's nothing to fear. This is temporary, and I continue to move forward. I go rest. I do something else. I go out. I call somebody, whatever. I watch a YouTube video. So another thing I want to add to this is, so I'll start with my personal experience, and I'll see if I can generalize it. But basically, I've fallen into this pattern in the past where I'm working on a project, a software project, and because I'm getting frustrated with all this brain fog interfering with my work and me being productive, it puts me in this negative state where I start questioning, well, is this project even worth working on? Is anyone even going to be interested in using this software? You know, or is this going to benefit anybody, or is this just completely pointless? That why am I even doing this? You know, once you get into that foggy state, you know, all these other negative thoughts tend to occur, and there's a tendency to give up on the project. So what I've said to myself is, listen, even if this project doesn't go anywhere, that's not relevant, because you're using this project to recondition your brain, to reteach yourself to engage with the brain fog in a way that's not full of fear, frustration, concern, right? So it's kind of it's a way to get yourself out of this state, you know? So of course, I'd like the project to go somewhere, to succeed, to be commercially successful, maybe if I'm lucky, if I do a good job, if there's a right opportunity, whatever. The details are irrelevant, by the way. I'm not going to talk about that. But most importantly, I have something I'm working on, and I'm going to stick with it for a period of time, you know. I'm going to bring it to some kind of a decent conclusion, and I'm not going to give up on it, because this giving up process, this negativity that I get into, I'm realizing it's just another way, you know, that I get sucked into the symptoms. I get sucked in by the brain fog, you know. So if you experience something like that in the work that you do, it's worth keeping this in mind. All right, well, that's it on working through brain fog. Let me know what's helped you. Let me know, you know, like this video, subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments just what's going on in general, and I'll talk to you next time.